All right. Let's do a little quarterback school live Wednesday light edition. Is that right? I don't know. What day is this? Either way, let me know that I sound all right as you come in. Do me a favor, hit that like button. Keep this thing rolling. We are coming to the end of June. Beautiful June. July, the off month for the quarterback school. Looking forward to it. Not going to lie. Not that I'm not having fun cranking out videos, but just to recharge, get it back going. So if you're looking for new stuff in July, it will only be at the quarterback school Patreon community. Let's see what else we got. Jesus checking in. Appreciate you. Martin, boom. Brandy, let's go. Coach Mississippi, he's my guy. Deshaun in the house. Deshaun's good people on many different levels. As we get going here with this live, no significant agenda today other than talking ball. Enjoy visiting with you all, see what's what. What did we put out recently? Joe Milton was today or yesterday. Not sure what we did Monday. Oh, Power Read Clinic Monday. Gotten a few randomly. This was not intentional, but a number of the clinics that I've put out have been run-oriented, which is a little ironic, just quarterback school. But I certainly enjoyed the run game when I was coaching, and it's fun to get into the details, the nuance of that. So if you have questions about that, happy to talk run game as well here as we jump into this thing. But really, it's that time of year where everyone is either ramping up or kind of resting up, ready to go for what seems like will be football season right around the corner. So I'm excited to kind of see what comes of it. There's certainly a number of different storylines that I'm interested in at the college level. There's just a lot of good quarterbacks, man, especially on the West Coast. I'm excited to see a bunch of these guys play. Tomorrow's video is going to be Jordan Travis. Big fan of Jordan Travis, Florida State. Trying to think who the other guy was that I was going to try to get to one more time. And then we'll see. I'm going to do a couple videos just for the Patreon community so they keep on cranking in July. I'm not sure how many of those. I would say a few maybe would be the nice way to put it around, put a little bow on July. And then we are into it. We'll be going on what will be the college camps, NFL camps, hard knocks, preseason, and we're into the football season for sure. There you go. Believe it. Best JT quote of all time, dude. We are barely on speaking terms. There you go. Brandy coming in. I like it. Jesus wants to know about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was overvalued by the Giants in one season. I mean, time will tell. If I had to say yes or no to that, I would probably say yes. I don't know if they had a lot of other options. What would be the other option? To just say, we're going to try something else? I think that might be a little bit even more risky than paying Daniel Jones or quote unquote paying Daniel Jones. I just don't know. And, I'm happy to be wrong and been wrong many times in my life. I'm not sure you win a championship with the level of play that Daniel Jones has played up until this point. Now, you might be able to get to a championship coming out of the NFC with the trajectory that he's on, but just looking in that division, it's going to be hard to get out of that division, let alone get to a Super Bowl, let alone win a Super Bowl versus an AFC top-tier quarterback. So, I just don't know what were the other options. To just roll the dice, to move up and get somebody to tank for Caleb, those types of things. I just don't know if they had a choice. It's probably not great. Tommy, little live, coming in live. Tommy Tanks. Appreciate the Bo Nix video. Glad you got a chance to watch it. I think Bo Nix, for me, it was probably a little bit higher than I remember, just because I feel like I just watched one too many Auburn games with him, and I get it. It's been a while since then. And then that first game against Georgia, I don't know. I'm not going to let that stuff stay with me and be cemented with him, but I'm not in a hurry to continue to watch a whole lot of Bo Nix. J-Pap, when you were working with your wide receivers, what types of things did you all discuss to strengthen the chemistry on the field? JPEP, not a lot. I mean, I think the thing that strengthens the chemistry on the field is reps on the field. I think it comes first from the classroom or from whatever system you're in, the expectations. I personally think it is really beneficial to be crazy detail oriented and explicit with the expectations about timing, depth. But from there is a kind of work element that needs to go into being able to read body types, to be able to read body language, to be able to trust, to be able to know what someone's stride looks like when they're striding out. And reps help that. And so it takes a lot of reps. It takes summer, it takes 7-on-7. It takes understanding, how certain guys want to release first press, how certain guys run routes in the red zone, those types of things. But to me, it takes intentional work and really situation specific work, whether that's in the slot, with motion, whether that's, from the perimeter, whether that's, even simple things as far as stances. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts talk about receivers this week, and they were kind of not necessarily making jokes, but just kind of like talking about a receiver stance and about, inside foot up, outside foot up, why does it matter? Da, da, da. Well, it doesn't matter if you're out there at recess or playing, some homemade, do whatever the hell you want system. But if you're running a detailed, precision-based passing game, steps usually matter. Depths matter. If you're running a 3-step slant, you can't run a 3-step slant very well with your inside foot up, or your inside foot back, I should say. So for me, that type of stuff matters. If you're running a 4th outside step foot glance, you got to have the correct foot up, or else it doesn't matter what you do. And to me, a lot of that is baked into the process of how wide receivers and quarterbacks get on the same page, from reps, from classroom, from expectations, from trust, from being in it together. And then sometimes it just comes from, turning on the film and seeing, hey, this guy's always open. Like, maybe we should get the ball to this guy more. And I'm not saying this happens all the time, but it does happen occasionally where, maybe there's a guy who doesn't necessarily kind of hit his depths perfectly or hit exactly where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there all the time, but he's almost always standing by himself. Well, that's probably a guy we should probably try to get the ball to more and just be a little bit looser with our expectations as far as the details. And there's not one way to do it. I can just tell you, I prefer the detailed way. It doesn't mean that that's the greatest way to do it. If you're in a system that is all about running the grass and deep choices and stuff like that, you're in a different expectations, but the expectations have to be clear. I think that's the first part that goes a long way to being able to kind of have that quarterback wide receiver level deep relationship, kind of where you can start to see some consistent anticipation and trust and letting the ball go early to be able to trust your receiver to be where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there at the correct depth. Always stay away from never in history ball passes. Jack McCanney. Hopefully I didn't butcher your last name there. What are the most important coaching points with respect to the mesh point to avoid the quarterback and running back fumbling the ball when reading the first level defenders? Ooh. Well, the first thing I would say is it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about from the pistol, or are we talking about from sidecar or from offset? Because I think it's different. Not really. I guess the overlying principles would be the same. I like to give the tailback a landmark and say that, hey, this is your line. So let's say, for instance, we're doing something from the pistol, like zone read from the pistol, or even inverted power read. That back has the midline. So he's got the crack of the quarterback through the crack of the center. That's his landmark where he's going. The quarterback's got to get off the midline to make his read. If it's sidecar, let's say the running back's, heels are at 5 and he's got the 5-yard line run for 5 steps. That's his line. The quarterback's got to get off that line. And I would also say that the back cannot, and this is where it takes a lot more reps. I don't really ever remember explicitly saying it, but the quarterback has to give you the ball. You can't take the ball. And so I think it comes from, honestly, if you're going to live in the world where you're going to do RPO reads, you're going to do any iteration of zone read, power read, bash, GT, it's part of the everyday drills for me as far as ball handling with the backs. We would do some element of it, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, is usually 10 minutes, with 5 of it being ball handling, 5 of it being kind of screen-ish throws or back throws. And it just is a compounding effect of reps and reading language, body language, and feel, and all those types of things. I don't know if there's any other way to do it other than having kind of practicing what those reads look like. And I always thought it was easiest in individual. Normally, I would have played kind of the conflict defender for the quarterback. And depending on the quarterback, I could be able to then kind of control when he pulled it, when he didn't pull it. Is this a quarterback that I want to pull it? Is this a quarterback that I would rather hand it off? What's the intention of the play? So being able to control the outcome, I think, helps from the coach or the play caller being the one who's actually the conflict defender in all those drills. Boom. We got 50 of our closest friends in here. Appreciate you guys coming in, hitting the like button as we come through this. Kyler, what's good? Paulo. Help me understand the Sam Darnold love the national media is talking. Don't want him over Lance. I don't think it. Does anybody want him over Lance? I mean, I don't know. I have honestly must not be paying attention to the national media because I don't necessarily feel that way. I think that most NFL teams, specifically that NFL team, the 49ers, are in the kind of spot where they want as much talent in the quarterback room as possible. I would say most teams feel that way. I think if you're Sam Darnold and you were kind of looking for a spot to land after what has been, I would say, mostly pretty crummy circumstances for you to play in up until this point, that looks like a pretty damn sweet spot to land because you're probably going to play. Let's be honest. And I don't mean like you're going to win the job, but like someone's going to get hurt. You're going to get a chance to play. You're probably going to play at a really high level. And if you keep playing at a high level, you probably might be in a Super Bowl. You're going to be right there. And so from that standpoint, I love it for Sam Darnold. I'd love it if, totally understand why he would want to be there. I think he's always had a kind of good skill set. I think he's been in bummer situations damn near everywhere he's been. I'm not making excuses for him. I just think that's the reality of it. I don't think because that situation, that team is so good, and that quarterback situation, I would say, continues to be in flux, whether it be health, whether it be, wasting draft capital, whether it be how it's handled, whether it be just perceptions of how it's handled. It is a national storyline, and so elements of it are always going to be part of it. But I don't think he's necessarily, I can't imagine him surging ahead of the other guys that they've already invested so much in. But if he plays, he's probably going to play pretty well. So hopefully that helps you understand, at least from my standpoint. Kenny, what kind of training did you do this time of year as far as throwing, lifting when you played? Are there upper body lifts you avoided? So throwing, lifting when you played, I was throwing probably a number of times a week. Lifting, anywhere from 4 to 6 times a week, depending on where I was in my career. Oh, hold on one sec. All right. Woo. Had the little guy come home from summer school, coming in hot. That was pretty seamless. Hopefully y'all stayed around. Let me see where we're at. I forget what I was talking about. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, training, throwing. So the lifting part of it was always kind of consistent for me. Not only the throwing, lifting, but also like the explosiveness, speed work. That stuff it really never stops in the off season. The throwing part of it for me was always ramping up this time of year. Depending on where I was at in my career. If I went to Europe, I was coming in hot throwing. If I was in a normal off season, early on in my career, I probably threw more in the off season. Later in my career, I kind of tried to really kind of be intentional with ramping up to be able to feel like I was at my best coming into camp. And in my best means at college, we were throwing 7-on-7 4 times a week. I was probably throwing additionally, maybe 5-6 times total. In the league, it definitely was not that much. It's hard to find guys to throw with, first of all. But then I would say probably, 3 to 4 times a week. But not always throwing also. Like some days you'd go out there and just do footwork if you couldn't find people to throw with. Or, some days you're working your craft with your drops or things like that, your play action, your ball handling, things like that. That it ends up being anywhere from like 4 to 5 times a week, I would say, on the field. Mark, what is the NFL or college teams you are a fan of? I follow UC Davis, college-wise. No, I'm a fan of, I like the Southern California football. I enjoy watching USC, UCLA. I enjoy watching any high-level football. I don't really have an NFL or college, like, big-time team. Randy Rogers. We ran Bash at Henry. How does the new rules change how much we teach Bash at the high school level now that the NFL changed the rule? What's the rule? People downfield? I don't know. Austin. Apologies if inappropriate. Uh-oh. Colon. I'm a coaching lifer and was very curious if you could share why you walked away from high school coaching. Austin. I've talked about this off and on different lives. People continue to ask me about this. The best way that I can say it is that a few different ways. One, I had a coach when I was playing that basically told me, and if I didn't keep playing, I probably would be a professional coach. And I mean, like at the highest levels I could possibly get to. Not that high school isn't rewarding and whatever, but I would probably be chasing a dream at a higher level. That being said, he told me that if you don't have to coach, don't. And so that was always kind of at the forefront of my mind. In addition, just looking around at the coaching lifestyle of the guys who were coaching me, I didn't necessarily see a lot of lifestyles that I loved. Now, I love the competition, and I love the elite element of being the best at the highest level of what you do. But like, it just didn't look like an envious family life. It didn't look like an envious life moving around. It just didn't. And then doing it at the high school level, it's a lot of work, man. And not that it's not rewarding to see it change certain guys' lives. Football can be a trampoline for a lot of people, or, create a lot of juice and momentum for a community and be fun with the people you work and coach with and make an impact in these players' lives. But if it's pulling you away from maybe what you might hold as higher values, maybe your family, being around your kids, to be around other people's kids, when you don't have to do that, it's not that hard of a choice, man. It really isn't. And then I would couple that by saying, think of any reason why you wouldn't want to coach. Money, time commitment, moving, any bullshit administration, parents, boosters, scheduling, coaches turning over, anything you can think of, being an equipment manager, hiring, dealing with ridiculous, mistakes people have made, anything, any excuse you can think of, that played a role in it as well. So there wasn't like one thing where like, oh, this was a disaster, I had to get out of this. It was, and then it's probably compounded by the fact that COVID felt like 5 seasons. Boom. Right on cue there. Derek Grant, do me a favor, y'all, as you come in or come back, continue to hit that like button. I really appreciate you guys sharing the channel across your different platforms. It means a lot to me, so thank you for that. Derek Grant, as a father of a 13-year-old middle school QB, I'd like to thank you for your channel that makes great conversations to and from training sessions, terrific presentation, and awesome job. My guy, Derek. Appreciate you. Hopefully my GIFs are back working. I feel like last time I had a crackling fire over my shoulder the entire chat. Very cool. Thank you, Derek, for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Alonzo Ramirez. I just got assigned to middle school quarterback coach this winter. Did running backs last year. This will be my first year coaching quarterbacks. Anything middle school quarterbacks should focus on more than typical high school or higher age quarterbacks. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything that I would do specifically for middle school kids. I would just be, super fundamentally focused. And I mean by that is spend a lot more time just understanding, the footwork element of it, drops, base. I'm a big believer in a natural stroke, so probably not messing around with a whole lot of what their arm action looks like, as long as there's not a significant amount of wasted movement, releases, stuff like that. I'm a big fan of just a natural release point. So no, not necessarily, and just figuring out, what that fundamental technique kind of base understanding inserts into whatever you're asking them to do in your middle school offense. Fork-tailed devil. JT, after a game, was your shoulder or elbow more fatigued or sore? I was always a sore neck kind of trap guy and forearm guy. I never had any elbow issues or shoulder issues or bicep issues. When I used to I'd ice my forearm, was usually the first thing to go in training camp. I went from just not being able to feel like I could grip the ball as well as I wanted to. It would feel like I was throwing with a wooden spoon out there. So my forearm was kind of my first fear. And then just when I was actually playing and getting hit, my neck and my trap area would seemingly I could never get loose, where you can't turn your neck or things like that. But that has more to do with just being in a bunch of car accidents when you're playing the game. There you go, Alonzo. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all asking questions in here. That reminds me, JPAP. Have you watched KJ Jefferson at Arkansas? I think I did a patron video for KJ Jefferson. What was I going to say about Arkansas? The guy I was I was pretty bummed out yesterday to see the Ryan Mallett news about drowning. It's all hearsay, what Twitter said. I think he was 35, drowned yesterday in Florida. I don't know why, but I know why, but it always hits weird when guys younger than you, I don't think I ever met Ryan, but play the same position. He's coaching, he's a head coach, high school somewhere in the South, in Florida. We go to Florida a lot, sounds like gets caught, in a situation in the water that's not safe and ends up drowning. And you just man, and it's not like it's haven't had friends before who have had kind of untimely ends, but man, it just, it always hits weird when it's people that are younger than you that do the same thing that you do and seemingly make a lot of choices that I probably make similar choices. I know we're set to go to Florida here in a little bit. We spent a lot of time in the water, and it's just, it's one of those things that hit me sideways yesterday. I was taken back for a while. So the Arkansas thing triggered me there, JPAP. I like KJ Jefferson. I mean, he's a monster of a dude to try to bring down at a high level playing quarterback. It'll be interesting to see what he continues to evolve looking like as a passer and what that Arkansas team, looks like continuing to get better and move forward as a program. They're fun to watch. I don't watch them that much. I got a few buddies that went to Arkansas that I always try to give a hard time to, but other than that, we'll see. All right, y'all. I'm planning on what I say. Jordan Travis tomorrow. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do another live or one more final video before kind of the July break. I enjoy doing the lives, and it's just, I try to do the lives to get out in front of people not coming at me in July being like, where's the video? Are you okay? No videos in July for the YouTube channel. Austin, my pleasure. It's just my experience too. I'm sure, hopefully you probably have a totally different experience, or a lot of people have different experiences. Gerard, hopefully I said that right. With high school football moving towards RPOs more and more, do you think they will move more towards a 21-22 formations rather than spread? Not necessarily. I don't know. I don't see the correlation. Sorry. I think you can do RPOs out of any formation, any personnel group. I think it's maybe a little bit easier to do them out of spread, just as far as the spacing, but the personnel or formation wouldn't make me think that offenses aren't going to do whatever the most advantageous rule is. The only way that the RPO is going away, in my opinion, is if they change the ineligibles downfield rule and really enforce it. If it's 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, it really doesn't matter if they don't enforce that rule. So if they start enforcing it and really making it a big penalty to be caught with guys downfield, then you're going to see less RPOs. Max Raven, how would you have fixed Tebow's wonky throwing motion? Man, talk about $1 million question. I mean, I don't think there would be any secrets to what I would do versus what other people would do. I would try to have tightened it up, meaning way less kick down, but a little bit more, smooth. It wasn't that Tebow's was long. It wasn't just that it was long. It was also awkward. Like it had a weird kick to it at the bottom, if I remember correctly. And so just kind of smoothing out the release and shortening it and tightening it, but also making it a little bit more symmetrical. I remember he was so jacked that it was almost like a down and stiff. There was a stiffness to it too. And so kind of combining a shorter, tighter, smooth release with a little bit more fluid and symmetrical, I think would have potentially helped him. But coming from someone, and I actually had this talk with an old quarterback coach of mine recently, and he uses it as kind of a mental model for him when he's coaching, and he's coached at the highest levels from the league to high, Power 5 football. It's a lot of work to change your stroke, to change your throwing motion. It's not impossible. I can tell you it's not impossible. I did it at least twice as a pro. I can tell you that eventually I defaulted back towards a more natural stroke, which for me was maybe a little bit longer, but much more consistent, I felt like. And it gave me a little bit more power as opposed to being so short and compact and tight that, yeah, I could get it out quickly, but I didn't have the velocity that I needed to make all the throws, versus kind of what I was as a college player, which was much more natural and longer. So somewhere in the middle was always where I was trying to get to. I don't know if that's necessarily revolutionary for what Tebow was trying to do. All right. That's a wrap, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging. We'll try to do this again. Again, Jordan Travis video tomorrow, YouTube, Friday, TBD, July, off. If you want more videos, join the Quarterback School Patreon community. As always, I appreciate y'all hanging out. I will see you on the other side.